Welcome back, everyone, to the next installment of The Letter. We are going to the Ermengarde mansion with Hannah and Luke, and apparently it is an awkward affair. We did just get a minor haunting and had pancakes with them? Apparently Johannes makes really good pancakes. Good for him. Not only am I worried about scuffing the expensive leather seats, but I'm also worried about getting in the middle of another couple spat. Yeah. With the tension thick in the air, I could feel them starting at each other any time. Nobody is saying anything. Up until Mr. Wright tells his valet to turn the damn radio off. Oof. And for a moment I think that he might start. But instead he just stays quiet, and so do the rest of us. In the end, the sufferable silence stays. I have never been so glad to see a house. Stepping out of the car and up to the mansion meant the end of an uncomfortable ride, and I could finally take a deep breath of fresh air. The beauty of the place never fails to make me gaze in wonder every time I see it as well. Mrs. Wright moves towards the front door, keys in hand, and I could already hear Mr. Wright plotting.
Alright, Johans, we're going to go in, but I want you to look around the place. Familiarize yourself with it. Know every nook and cranny, every inch of the lot. Go and see where we can put that vineyard and the other things we talked about.
You can put them outside, sir.
We'll want to know where to station security as well, so go around the perimeter and figure it out.
Scouts a property and circles a perimeter on foot.
Yeah, this is a massive house.
You do know this is 46 acres of land, sir.
Well, you are not driving a car over the grass.
Really?
Put those long, spidery legs of yours to good use. I didn't hire you to stand around and look intimidating. Go, mush.
Someday I'd like to ask how Johannes can even stand and tolerate the man. He's got his little ways of getting back at him. Why doesn't he just quit? Certainly the pay can't be that good. Even I'm a bit put off by our mutual employer, and the only thing that keeps me from bailing is the fact that we've already signed a contract. At least I'll only be working with them during the duration of the project. He works with them every day.
Sometimes I think you hired me to make me suffer for your amusement.
Someday I'd ask. I feel a bit bad for him. If it's any consolation, he'll be away from Mr. Wright, if only for a little while. Yeah, he does have a job to do, but he's just off somewhere else. We're able to enter the mansion after a bit of standing out there in the sun. This wretched, strange sunlight that is far too alien and rare. There had been a bit of a problem, with the missus not knowing which key was which. The first item on the agenda would be the grand staircase. It seemed sturdy during the open house, but a closer inspection might say otherwise. There are no obvious marks of damage, nor wear and tear. Probably... Oh, that took me a second. I was like, rethreaded during renovations. Peeking under the grand carpet, the wood is properly installed with the bark placed down to prevent cupping. The carpet itself could use a vacuum, though. Structural conditions, from what I can see without actually dismantling the thing, look to be in good shape, and the handrails and support posts are firm. The work on it should be commended. I can't look much more into the rest of the foyer, however, because Mr. Wright starts to hurry us into checking the dining hall.
So, what do you think? Certainly we can't turn this area into a garage.
It's Jacobean architecture. I'd say these would be pilasters and not buttresses, but you never really know. They really liked mixing up these elements. You could say it was pretty avant-garde at the time. We might hit a support beam if we're not careful.
And in layman's terms?
Well, you know what a support beam is. It supports. You don't want to break down the damn house.
From what I see here, we could risk great damage to the house if we try to turn the dining hall into a garage.
The man didn't look too pleased at this. There's a look of disappointment before he sighs and looks around the place with an air of defeat. When he moves to speak, I dread another unreasonable demand. Again.
This will stay a dining hall then. But if I may have another request instead...
A garage on the second floor, please. Or, I guess, in UK terms, the first floor.
At least spruce the place up with some flowers, some plants or something. Feels so old and dead in here.
This is by far the simplest request he's made.
That's hardly unreasonable. Daffodils are a must, I presume.
They do keep coming back to this. What is it with him and daffodils in particular, I wonder? Did he like them as a kid, or what? The look that passes between the two of them, there is a genuine look of fondness there. Did it have to do when they dated or something? This is the first time I've seen such an exchange between the two of them. If anyone were to see them like this, there's little doubt that they loved each other.
Of course. And I want a garden full of them.
Now, if you excuse me, I'd like to look at the rest of the house. I'll just be around here downstairs if anybody needs me.
That leaves Mrs. Wright and me.
He's quite fond of them, you know.
I can imagine. He looked terribly upset when we told him he can't have his garage.
I meant the daffodils. We always have a vase full of them in every house we own. Somewhere, I'd like to think, they may be about his mother. He never talks about her. I don't even know her name.
Wow.
He likes to flatter, claim that they remind him of me, but he's always loved the flowers, even before we married.
Much like the piano, I didn't take him for a person who liked flowers. Daffodils least of all. Yeah, daffodils suck. Who would like daffodils, am I right? What's next? Am I going to find out that Mr. Wright saves kittens from burning buildings?
I'll go and snoop about upstairs. You go and do whatever it is that you have to do.
When she goes without even asking if I need her here, I'm left standing to stare at the walls. Perfect opportunity to find a spooky ghost. Really, I don't need to do a thorough inspection of the building itself. It isn't really part of an interior designer's job. But the architect in me is committed to doing this task with every project. If I'm going to make a living space that has both form and function, I might as well make sure that the entirety of it is safe for my clients. Since I'm already here, I roam around the dining hall to check things off my punch list, if you will. What, like a hole puncher, you punch it off? I would have thought, like, checklist. But when it's time to move on, I hesitate. Mr. Wright said he would be somewhere around here on the ground floor, and I really didn't want to be alone with whiskey. I have to look through the place eventually, sure, but on the other hand, I can do it later when he's gone. I can go upstairs first if I want to. Which floor should I go to first? Wow. This really could go either way. To Luke or not to Luke. Otherwise, haunting? I don't know. Hannah's going to call us into question if we go to the first floor. I think I'll actually do the ground floor, because I don't know how crazy it's going to get even if I do run into Luke. Alright, just because there's one troublesome client shouldn't mean I'll let him get in the way of my work. The parlor is my first destination. Mostly because I figure Mr. Wright is hiding down in the wine cellar and making plans there. I'm going to bump into him sooner or later, but I'd rather make it later. Much, much later. The place upon closer inspection is in good shape. I don't doubt this place was done with the most care, considering it would be one of the first rooms visitors would see during the open house. There's a stain on the carpet, most likely by one of the guests at the time, but it isn't anything a good cleaning can't get rid of? I would have just said rid of. Next is the music room. Or, at least that's the plan. Until spooky...
Locked? Oh, come on now.
Well, I rattle the doorknob again, harder this time to double check, and even give it a good budge to see if it isn't a problem with the door itself. But, no, definitely locked. That is weird, considering the rest of the rooms aren't. It could just be this one, though, and I could try the other door through the ballroom if I really want to get in. And that's when I hear it. Ooh. The sound of a piano. Though it just plays one note, over and over again. Yeah, get some lessons, lady, come on. It makes the hairs on the back of my neck stand, and I back away from the door. Though I wasn't exactly the superstitious sort, what am I gonna do? The room is locked. I could just go back to it later. Maybe see if I can go through the ballroom and... What? The music room door opens, and who else but Luke Wright stands by the doorway. So does that imply that it was an auditory hallucination, like Hannah heard in her chapter and Zach heard in his? Because Luke didn't just sprint over to the door. I don't know why the door was locked with him in it, but he did not get from the piano to the door in a moment. That was probably an auditory hallucination. He looks a lot like a cat that ate a canary, and I didn't appreciate the way his eyes linger on me. I was hoping it wouldn't be this awkward, but it looks like we're going there.
Isn't it common sense that locked doors mean someone wants a bit of privacy? You needn't try to break the door down.
Or did you just want to see me again that badly without the misses?
I should have gone to the first floor.
I don't see why you would, though, Mint. Nothing really happened between us.
I'm glad it didn't.
Well, I wasn't looking for whiskey. I was just going around to do my inspection.
Do you like my playing, by the way? 3 years of lessons.
Thought it needed a push, just in case the door was stuck and actually needed repairs.
So you really are some fancy interior designer, huh? Had you told me you were one, I would have called you a piss taker.
Well, we were both pretty pissed last night. Or a couple nights ago, whatever.
I figured you'd be, I don't know, an assistant going for a drink after a week with a tosser of a boss.
I'm just glad you thought me any sort of professional with how ossified I was. I must have not looked the part, so I understand your surprise.
He doesn't offer a witty retort, and he grows quiet for a moment.
At first glance, Hana didn't look like some fancy finance manager when I first met her either. She was the pretty daughter of this rich, powerful man. When she was introduced, they told me that she was not there as the man's daughter, but as a part of management. I thought it dubious. All the beautiful women I knew before her, they used their looks to get what they want. And there she was, with all that she could ever need in life. And yet she works hard to earn her keep.
It sounds like you admire her.
Hearing that, I too can't help but feel admiration for Mrs. Wright.
You enjoy your job, don't you, Mint?
It helps me earn my keep, as you would put it. A bit strange to say out loud, but it gives me purpose as well.
Do you think then that, maybe, Hana would want to go back to being a working person?
Taken aback at his question, I wait for further clarification. What makes him ask this? And why me of all people, right? But when I see that no explanation is coming, I think, you should ask her. Because, yeah, she does seem content, but we've heard her in her monologue before. She wants things to be simple and pleasant, and not a bunch of stuffy parties that Luke isn't even part of, even though he seems to take credit for them.
Shouldn't you be asking her this? Isn't her opinion much more important than that of someone you just met in a pub a few nights ago?
Positive? No kidding. But then again, she seems content might come off as flippant, what do I know?
You're a woman, and I figured you might know more. I mean, people are always saying that women are fulfilled by having husbands and having a good home.
I wonder what you mean when you say people, though. Who was always saying that? I would imagine not everyone says that.
But then, I see ones like you who look happy having jobs. Maybe she's like you, and having a job would be better for her.
Just because I'm a woman? You do know we don't all think the same way. But I don't know, I'm not married or anything, but this shouldn't be a complicated matter. She's your wife for how many years? Talk to her. Ask her what she wants. Don't you guys talk during supper or something?
That gets him thinking. Or at least it looks like it does.
Well, I should let you get back to work. Thanks for talking with me, I suppose.
This went a lot better than I thought it would. I mean, at first I didn't think we'd run into him at all, so that went worse than I thought, but this took a turn.
Right. But anything goes awry if you take my advice. Just remember that I'm not some marriage counselor, so take it with a grain of salt.
My marriage goes down the shitter, I'll sue you. Noted.
Wait, that's not...
Too late. He takes a step back into the music room, shuts the door, and leaves me there looking gobsmacked. He wasn't serious, was he? I doubt it. That man, I don't understand him at all. One moment he's this huge arse, and then he's this person the next.
Odd guy. Still needs a good arse kicking if you ask me.
Was that a slight echo in the voice? Is whoever said that actually here? Still needs a good arse kicking. Who would talk like that? Or is it my own inner monologue? Or was it one of my friends? I can't place that accent unless it's Marianne's own. Okay, so forget about going into the music room then. That's fine. He'll have to go out there... Go out there? Come out from there. Sooner or later. He already did go out there, or in there. In the meantime, I can go around and check the rest of the house. I thought we were going to get a spooky haunting, although we probably did. All my worries fade when I step into the ballroom. And, well, the whole place is just grand, isn't it? I could see why the Wrights made sure nobody else would take this place from them. Anyone who has it will certainly be the belle of the ball. It's pretty much one great big status symbol. No kidding. I don't think I could do much of a thorough inspection in this room, so I note it down for later. Done. Moving on to the kitchens. The most haunted room in the house, apparently. Although, the attic's a contender. I checked the ventilation and the general fire safety in the kitchen. This bit is important for a place this size. I would, of course, suggest bringing an actual fire safety inspector over for a more detailed inspection. It wouldn't do to see such beautiful architecture go up in flames, after all. I take measurements of the countertops and cabinets, note down what type of wood they use. They wanted some of these recreated to hide modern appliances. There's a loose floorboard in the farthest corner, and some of the others had scratches, but everything else seems to be in decent shape. My concentration is broken when someone knocks.
You can come in. Door's not locked.
I wait, expecting Mrs. Wright or their butler to come in, but nobody entered. Instead, there's that knocking again. It's louder and more urgent this time, and I'm pretty sure I didn't lock the thing.
All right. I'm coming. Just hold on.
Here we go! When I move to open the door, though, I realize something that I haven't saved in a little bit. The knocking isn't coming from the door, but from somewhere else. Oh, the cellar again. The trapdoor? I pause for a second, waiting. And then Luke comes out. Can't people get their privacy, Marianne, for the second time? But the knocking has not ceased. Johannes, could you please come in here and tell me you don't hear anything? Jeez. And soon enough, it becomes desperate. The dull thuds from before switching to what seems to be... scratching? Desperate and insistent at once, as if grasping for respite.
Is somebody stuck down there?
Oh, we're getting cut off, and I heard a creak!
Quick!
What? Okay, number one. The old cat jump scare, like an 80s movie cliche. And number two, what's a cat doing here? At all. And wait a minute. And number three, cats don't knock. I'm saving again. Where did that come from? How did it even get down there? Yeah, and also cats don't knock. That cat is a spooky ghost. That put the heart cross way in me, it did. I love cats, but they have no business giving people a fright. I should stop watching these slasher movies. For a second there, all those ghastly rumors about this place had come flooding back. Now, deep into that darkness peering of the open trapdoor gets me thinking. And it gets me curious. Curious like a cat, if you will. Seriously, though, I should really make sure there aren't any more surprises from down under. Hey! Are there any surprises down under? No? Okay, bye! I don't think the Wrights would appreciate it if we find a litter of kittens making a house of the wine cellar. Mr. Wright seemed the type to skin a cat if any of his precious wines were to be contaminated, and as we all know, there's more than one way to do that. I'm done with the kitchens anyway. Oh no, we're actually down here, and there's what? There's actual lit torches? What? Who the hell put those here? I'm not playing freaking, like, Wolfenstein where, like, shut up, it's a video game. Like, this is going for a bit of a more realistic angle. Who lit a torch and put it here? What do you call it, a sconce? I think God of War said a brazier was metal and a torch would be wood. Going down a flight of stairs while wearing high heels is always a bad idea. Descending into the dark underground only made it worse, but I managed anyhow without any major slip-ups.
These stairs need work, that's for sure.
Surprisingly, the wine cellar is in a good condition. No water damage from last year's flooding, and apart from the dust and cobwebs that have accumulated, the place will likely hold for several more years. Now remember, the party hasn't happened yet. Whatever happens, we're surviving it. Racks and barrels line the walls, making the spacious room look smaller than it is. I'm no expert, but it looks good enough for immediate use without any further additions. Bloody whiskey will be having a field day. I think so anyway, until I feel something crunch beneath my feet. Whatever few bottles were left behind here are now nothing but glass under my heels. The cat's fault, I'd wager. and it made a downright mess, with red slick pooling from the remnants of a good drink. There's a lot of this stuff for it to have just been a few bottles, though. A whole trail of it flows from the end of the room, and I follow, fully expecting a leaking barrel or a whole spooky ghost, upturned rack. Instead, it just keeps on going, and it stops in a large puddle at the very back wall.
What a waste of wine. Why is it so sticky, though? Ugh.
If this is one of those things where it's supposed to be blood, the smell should be very, very apparent. So I hope they're not trying to pull that little trick. It's thick, too. Nothing like wine. Damn it! Like, blood doesn't smell like wine. Come on. Of course, it could just be mold.
Maybe it's not wine. Go on, touch it. I dare ya.
Whoa! Okay, we got Spooky Ghost, and this must be whoever Hannah looks like, or whomever. Despite it all, I find myself answering, because it's her voice. Amy Lorraine. Lovely Amy, pretty Amy. I can imagine her standing there with me, laughing and pestering me as I did work, in the only way friends can. She was my friend, the only one that I had at St. Samthon's. I was a scholar, the charity case, in a school for privileged and prestigious young girls. They all looked down at me if they cared to look at me or acknowledge my presence at all. All except her. Sometimes I wish for the good old days when we were friends. Now she's nothing but a ghost. Really? Come on. Though I try so hard to get over her. I really, really do.
What am I, 5 years old? Oh, damn it, it's stuck under my shoe.
I double dare you. Hell, I double dog dare you. Don't be such a scaredy cat. It's probably wine. What else could it be? Blood?
Don't be ridiculous. Why would there be blood down here?
If I was the joking sort, I would have said it might be the reason why the previous owner sold the place. Maybe the ghost stories are actually true, and they wanted to get away from the walls that dripped of ectoplasmic goo, and whatever other ghouls haunted about. Doubt it. I hardly believe in any of that voodoo nonsense as it is, but as I stare at the mess at my feet, probably looking like a fool while I'm at it, I notice something strange. How appropriate. Something strange in the neighborhood. It isn't visible unless one is really paying attention, but I can see the red gunk seeping through a crack in the wall. Is this where the ghost's body is? But again, why would the blood still be liquid form at this point?
What's this, then?
I worry about structural damage, and damage to the foundation. I worry about the wine cellar, as the wrong conditions can lend to the deterioration of its contents, if temperatures and humidity are not controlled. Up until I see how clean-cut the crack is. It runs along the edge of the wall and vertically along it, where a door would be. Pressing my hand against the wall lends credence to the idea as I try to feel where it would give way. You know, come to think of it, well, I don't think Marianne was at the party. Where was she after this incident? She already talked to Isabella. Did she have occasion to talk to any of the other characters after this? I actually don't remember. Because we've certainly played the game after this point, but I don't know if Marianne was there, now that I really think about it.
Ooh, could it be an adventure then? A secret passage? There must be a hidden switch somewhere. Go look. This is the most interesting thing you've done by far.
Doing it again? If there's a hidden room here, that could certainly explain the discrepancy in the mansion's floor plans. It wouldn't be too far-fetched to think that there could be hidden rooms and passageways all over the house, if we're to follow that logic. And boy, isn't that exciting. This feels like something straight out of a game. A computer game, and I think also a mobile title. Suddenly, she touches my arm. What? And I flinch away in shock. Oh yeah, because she's a spooky ghost. I guess this isn't just a hallucination after all. It's the hallucination is that she looks like this, but the ghost can certainly touch people. That shouldn't be possible. That is terrifying. Can you imagine if that happened? I understand auditory hallucinations, maybe even visual hallucinations. But that was...
You look surprised. What's wrong?
You... That's not possible. You're...
dead. Oh, I didn't know that. It did say something about letting her go, but I thought like there was an awkward relationship issue or something, or friendship issue or what. Did not realize she was dead.
Aren't you happy to see a dear old friend, though? I'm hurt, I am.
What the hell is going on here?
Oh, isn't it obvious? I come back for you,
Man, this game has got to be freaking kidding me.
so that we can be together again.
Forever. When she touches me once more, I recoil. What does she mean together again? She's dead.
No! Leave me alone!
Leave you alone? But I just got here.
Oh, thank God. Johannes, you keep saving people from hallucinations. What a hero. Ah, the best transformation. Johannes is here, everybody. Turning around, I'm met with the Wright's butler, who looks at me with an indifferent look. Oh wow, he looks at me with a look. And when I look back, Lorraine is gone. So, like I was saying, I've come so we can be together again.
I wasn't talking to you, just thinking aloud is all.
You should really avoid talking to yourself, Kint. Do more of that and others will think you're insane.
Just straight up. Also, now's a great chance to ask him if, like, how he tolerates his employer. We're just alone in the basement. So, Johannes, the hell is up with Mr. Wright, huh?
Yes, thank you. Is that all you're here for, or has your master sent you running down here for something?
Oh, no, I am just down here to admire the place. I've not been inside before. I thought I would look around before we return to the city. The car is already running, you see, and I suggest you go back to the foyer, unless you wish to be left behind. It seems you are in good company already, after all, with this house and your imaginary friend.
This guy. But hey, now we've established the existence of a secret door or something in the basement. You know that's going to pay off later.
Wait, we're leaving already? But I haven't finished inspecting the rest of the house.
But don't you know? It's been hours.
Be that as it may, there's a sulking man-child up there who wishes to go home. We are all subject to his whims, lest he throw a tantrum.
Fair enough. I do love that he's not just taking shots at me. He takes shots at freaking everybody. I can't help but smile at that. He's a strange guy. I still can't imagine how he can work for a guy like Luke Wright, though. I imagine the blonde arse ain't an easy guy to get along with. Whatever the butler was having to tolerate that, I want 10 of it.
And we wouldn't want any soiled knickers or spilled milk. Why don't you go head on and I'll be right there.
I will choose to continue to stay alone in the spooky basement.
Very well. Do be careful on your way back. I saw some broken glass on the way and it will not do to cut yourself on them.
I will, yeah. Just tell Mr. Wright not to blow a gasket or anything. I'll be just a minute.
Speaking of blowing gaskets, there's something else dangerous here. A blown gasket. Whatever's behind that door, it could pose some problems. Best case scenario, it'd only ruin good stocks of wine, but who knows what's behind that false wall. I'll have to come back to it. Okay, it's already dark as we make our way out of the mansion. With no lights, we are only illuminated by the headlamps of the Wright's car and the stars up above us. The sight of them helps me compose myself much more than several minutes of being alone did. The car's engine is running, yet the two still stand out on the lawn. Mrs. Wright is busy, eyes up to the stars, and Mr. Wright, arms crossed, has his eyes down on the ground. It is the crunch of the grass under my heels that brings their attention to me.
About time. What took you so long? A minute longer and I'd think the house swallowed you all up.
Well, maybe that'll happen.
Oh, hush, dear. I'm sure she has her reasons. Marianne doesn't seem the sort to idle.
Sorry, I was just checking on something important.
See, business is business and they take time, love. You should know that better than anyone. So, Marianne, what do you think? Are you the woman for the job? I know we already signed papers hiring you, but I want to be 100% sure that you are committed.
I glanced back towards the mansion, knowing what I had seen there. That curious thing in the wine cellar, which is stuff I'd only read about from fucking horror stories. And her. I should feel the slightest bit hesitant. I was lucky. I've seen enough films to know what happens when a promiscuous woman enters a haunted house. This is my chance to turn it down, make excuses, say that I'm not up to the task, that I need to take care of my old sick father. Just pay the fine. which is probably outrageous for a contract like this, and let it go. I should turn it down, but this is a horror video game and I'm a playable character, so nope! But for some obstinate reason, I can't. In the same manner, I haven't let go of her, of the regret that has shadowed me since that day. It really does seem like every playable character in this game has some regret from their past. Even Rose does, and she's not playable. Everybody has something that they either regret or were traumatized by, or something like that. Isabella has art, or art school, or whatever it was she wanted to do. Zach has the murder of his parents. That's not a regret, like he chose wrong or something, but you can't just get over that. You know, he's got to live with that forever. Luke has something going on in his past that we don't know about. He likes daffodils and piano, but he's not doing that stuff now. Hannah married, but she isn't living the kind of life she would want to live. Marianne has architecture. Becca has... I mean, it's still ongoing, but she just can't seem to ask Ash out on a date. And Rose had nursing. There's a lot going on here. Much as I hate to admit it, even to myself, seeing her again, the mischievous glint in her eyes, the loose tendrils, of her hair curled around her forehead, it's something I've terribly missed. And now that it's here, almost within arm's reach, My father would tell me, sometimes you just simply have to go through with it, consequences be damned. And, well, I really don't have any logical reason to say no. At least not something a client like the Wrights would want to hear from a professional designer.
It's certainly an interesting project. You can be sure I'm seeing it through the end.
Such dedication! Oh, I do love the determination.
You were always determined like that, weren't you?
Even in a group of people, that's not fair. Hearing her voice once again sends a chill running down my back. I can't wait for this day to be over. From the mansion and through Anselm, I rode with them in silence. But as soon as we hit city proper, I asked to be dropped off and bid them good night. I thought it best, or I thought it'd be best, if I didn't stay too long and could find spaces with either Mrs. or Mr. Wright. Both seemed to cause me serious trouble, and if the project had been any less interesting or grand, I would have dropped it without a second thought. Would have. Shouldn't have. Won't. I assure them that my place isn't that far off, and I have to fight off the urge to roll my eyes and groan when whiskey throws me a little smirk. Yeah, can you imagine? Oh, I know! But even in my own home, peace is elusive. As is sleep. I lie awake thinking of what I saw in that mansion. Of who I saw. If I so much as hear a single whisper from her, if I so much as see a wisp of her hair, I'm afraid I'll go mad. But none of that happens. And it makes me feel hollow. For 2 nights I've had trouble sleeping. But it's only one morning when fatigue has already let me rest that I'm reminded of what terrifies me so. Oh yeah? Wednesday, huh? In my restless dreams, I see that town. I mean, I see that mirror. This sounds like it could be intriguing. The one in the study. And in it, I see her. I see them. Lorraine and Hannah? The same Hannah? Hannah and Lorraine.
Poor pathetic Marianne. Work, work, work. She'll work herself to death.
See? She doesn't listen. That's all she did. Look at what happened to me.
They talk among themselves with cruel smiles and venomous tongues. Did Hannah have a sister Lorraine? Like, what? Or rather, to themselves. 2 heads, 1 body. Oh, okay, it's just a weird dream image or something. I mean, I didn't think this was a freaking flashback, but, like, I was just imagining that Lorraine and Hannah had some kind of connection. A horrible mockery of these women, as if they were the one and the same.
More's the pity. Life goes on and goes out, and she doesn't even see it.
Do you think she'll even realize when she's kicked the bucket herself?
When they say a person has a hard time telling when they're in a dream, it was true often enough. Even with this bizarre sight, even with the obvious implication that this isn't real, I can't help but feel distress.
Likely. Is that any way to live at all? She might as well be dead.
Cruel fate that she's alive and I'm... well...
Though they speak into each other's ear, tones low and hushed, I could still hear them as clear as day. Their whispers pervade the air, heavy and oppressive. They bury and dig into my head like tiny maggots, worming their way into my skull. It is only then that they take notice of my presence. Ah, that's creepy. Eyes turn toward me, and I can only feel small under their scrutiny. Caricature smiles etch on their faces, mimicking each other grotesquely.
Oh, Marianne! How long have you been standing there, dearie?
Come join us, Marianne. We won't bite.
I kinda think you will.
Unless you ask, that is.
Have you been looking at us? Spying? How scandalous. Such a naughty girl.
I'm sure you were just waiting for something lewd to happen, weren't you?
You know she will not admit it. She thinks it wrong. You've said it so yourself.
Yes. She thought me wrong, impure, abnormal, because I loved her.
So that's what happened. That's an ironic twist. I thought it was gonna be the other way around. My breath hitches, and I open my mouth to protest, but they stop me, screeching. The mirror that holds them cracks, lines spidering across its surface.
Do not lie. We know the gluttonous thoughts you try to deny, girl. All those desires you bury beneath that sickening guilt. You act the martyr when you turn the bed you lie in into your own hedonistic hell. You are nothing but a tainted soul with filth-stained flesh held together by falsehood and pride.
They look livid. And when it looks like they would lunge... That's some dream, goddamn. I wake, feeling like the wind had been knocked out of me. With a groan, I squint and find a certain fluff ball sitting on my chest, looking as pleased as Punch. Yes, she is the overlady of the cats, queen of despair and destruction of nice furniture. Though I can't stay mad at Her Majesty because it feels like she did something good this time. I was having a nightmare, but I can't even remember what it was about. Trying to recall leaves a terrible pit in my stomach. Maybe it's probably better that I don't remember. Don't worry. We, the viewers, do.
Good morning, Baruthiel. Who's the good kitty? Are you hungry? Is that why you woke me up?
A content purr comes from my sweet dear before she jumps off the bed and trots toward the kitchen. On the other hand, it takes me a bit more before I roll out of bed and start my day. Mornings before work are always a quiet affair. Shower first, then a mug of coffee and a bowl of oats. Sometimes I do stretches, and I always check my work email. The Wrights will be moving into the mansion today. I don't think the paperwork is officially done yet, but it isn't too far-fetched to think they were allowed to start their move despite that. Rich people like them will always find ways to get what they want, after all.
I'll be leaving you again today, Beth. So you behave and make sure not to shred up my new covers, okay? And don't worry, I didn't forget tomorrow is Black Cat Day, so I'll throw you a party. But only if you behave like a proper lady.
She barely gives me a glance as I say that, before going back to her own food. Cats. Still better than humans, most of the time. Too bad I have to work with humans. The place is already busy as soon as I get there. But, for now it is time to stop the installment. Well, we certainly made a lot of progress today, didn't we? We moved on with our adventures with Marianne, and we actually got a look at the wine cellar at long last. And we got a visual, auditory, and tactile hallucination? Did Johannes touch us a couple of times to snap us out of it, or did the freaking ghost do that? And then Johannes showed up. I don't know, but either way, Johannes continues to be the freaking best, but now we have, finally, what's going on with Mary's backstory with this other character, Lorraine, because she kept hinting at it and we didn't get it. This appears to be an interesting take on events. So Lorraine actually was into her, but is Marianne... I mean, I know her friends hinted that she might be closeted homosexual, but was she like a self-hating homosexual person or something who didn't come to terms with herself until later? Because it seems that might have been the cause of the breakup with Lorraine, but what I don't understand is how Lorraine died. I'm really hoping it wasn't a case of suicide over heartbreak, because that'll be guilt, all right. I don't know, but I think we'll be enlightened on more later. In any case, we have work to do and hopefully a little fewer hauntings this time. Until next time, everyone.